Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool clock video for you this evening. Usually we do arcade game, pinball machine, and jukebox repair videos. But on the side, I like to collect clocks and radios. And every once in a while, a fan or so. By the way, Dennis, I told you we had your little Gumby radio. Our friend Dennis, that comes in the shop all the time, watches these videos, and he had a Gumby radio, so he brought it to me. I haven't tested it out yet though, but we'll do a video on that. But this video will have nothing to do with arcade games, pinball machines, or jukeboxes. It's going to be about this clock. So if you're not interested in that, I'll see you in a couple days, and we'll work on a pinball machine. But I bought this clock at an auction today. And it's a really cool one, so I figured I'd show it off in a little video. These things fascinate me. This thing has got to be 100 years old. And a lot of times they still work. And it's just amazing to me, you know. I don't have one quite like this one. I've got about 20 of these things. Maybe more that are this size, right? Maybe more. So I'm going to have to start selling some. There you can go to these auctions online and things like that, and not eBay, but like local auctions. And this thing I won for $28. $28. That's nothing. So I believe it's by the New Haven Clock Company. But the truth is, in my opinion, at least from what I know, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is amateur repair time. I don't believe this thing will probably even need any repair. We're just going to look at it a little bit. It's got some paperwork with it, though, that I want to look at. You know, you had the New Haven Clock Company, the Sessions Clock Company, the Ansonia Clock Company, the Gilbert, Seth Thomas, and a couple more back in the 1800s that made these clocks. And most of them survived up into the 1900s. I'm sure I forgot a couple of the real big ones. But this is, like I said, I think this is a New Haven Clock Company clock. So I figured we'd just look it over. You folks might find it just as interesting. And there is some documentation with it. So that ought to be interesting to check out. And then we'll see if we can get her to work. So first of all, it looks like it's got an oak cabinet. I'm wondering if this thing was put in is this a custom cabinet? Because I haven't seen one quite like this. So I'm going to try to look it up as well. See if we can find a picture of this back in the day. Most of the time they have the gingerbread clock look. I can show you some of those over here. So a lot of them look like that. You know. But this one, it's more of like a shelf clock or something. It's not quite as tall. And it's more boxy, right? So I noticed earlier, this thing was ticking and talking like a bomb was going off or something. So it's got this nice brass, or I guess that's brass, I don't know, glass front. And then the dial looks different than I've seen too. I haven't really seen any like this. So is this something that somebody replaced at some point or what? Look how the 4 and the 8 are missing because that's where the winding holes go. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I don't even know if it works. I didn't go test it out or anything, but for $28, who cares, really? You know, I mean, it's $28. Even if you just sit it on the shelf, it's worth that. But I like this one because it was different than any of the other ones that I've got. Now, you can see the winding arbor in there. So I was pretty sure that the movement was probably there. I have no clue what this is. That's another winding arbor, isn't it? It's a smaller one. Huh, so does this, well, I don't know what that would be for. That may actually speed it up or slow it down. I haven't had one. On some of the newer ones, there'll be 3 winding arbors, and one is for the chimes, but this one doesn't have chimes, I don't believe. It's just got a strike. So I don't know. But I think I've seen the keys where one side's bigger than the other side. And so I think if you put the small end of the key in there on that smaller winding arbor, you could probably slow it down or speed it up. But has this thing been painted or something? What is that down there we're seeing? Patent. What does that say? Patent, March 29th, 87. That would be 1887. But that's when the patent was. So, that's probably an original dial then, right? Have they replaced the numbers or anything? What do you think? Has this been repainted? Like, what is that? Look, there's another one. I don't know. They may have repainted this at some point because it just looks so clean. But I mean, that patent, I think maybe it's the original face and maybe they've repainted it. Or maybe that's like a little sticker. I don't think so. That's paint. But that one's a little crooked. See how the 5's crooked? So I don't know. I don't know what they did. We're going to try to look it up and see if we can figure out what it is. And see if it really is New Haven Clock Company. Okay, so really nice oak, or I guess that's oak, cabinet. Very solid, basically looks brand new. So let me turn around and show you the back. It looks a little different than any I've seen too. So here's the back, very nicely made, but cheaply made. You know, this wouldn't be real expensive or anything. It's just nailed together, which is kind of typical. There's a big scratch here, but that don't really mean anything. It almost looks like it's just not like the other ones that I've seen, right? It's on the bottom. It has that, which is how they mount the chime, a lot of time the gong. And you can just tell by the wood, it's pretty old. So if it's not the original cabinet, it's a really old cabinet. There's a little nail there. Sometimes they would nail notes to the bottom of the cabinet. I found a few like that. They would take like a note from when it was repaired or something and nail it to the bottom of the cabinet. So there may have been something like that at some point. But this all looks really old to me. I mean, like it would be original. Nail in the same place. So check this out. Nice little latch. I put this in here because if that's not in there, right? So, I mean, the thing wants to run. So let's see if we can read any of this. It's the HORACE rack and snail. Rack and snail. That has to do with how the chime works. I can't. Oh yeah, look, that's that. Rack and snail, I believe. Crazy. Okay. HORACE rack and snail, 8-day. So you wind it once a week. Half-hour strike. Cathedral gong movement. All right. New Haven Clock Company, New Haven, Connecticut, USA. Directions for regulating. Raise the ball to make the clock go faster or lower the ball to make it go slower. Raise the ball. That would be something on the front. I don't know. When the clock is regulated closely this way, it may be still more closely regulated by placing the key on the square arbor over the figure 6 and turning to the right to make the clock go faster and to the left to make it go slower. To set the clock to the correct time, turn the minute hand only. Do not touch the hour hand while turning the minute hand. If the minute hand be turned too rapidly, particularly from 25 minutes of the hour up to the hour, when first setting, the clock may not strike the right hour the first time after it has been set, but it will, without further molestation, strike correctly the next hour. All right. So, here is the key. Now it says Ansonia Clock Company, so this would not be from this clock, but that's fine. It's probably the right size. Alrighty, let's see. New Haven trademark, USA. FHT 77 772, March 1981. Somebody has cleaned this thing up really nicely. $28. What do you think? Did I get ripped off? I guess it depends on if it runs, right? I'm happy with my purchase. What do you think? Okay, so I got two things to show you. I'm going to show you an address. Should I show you the address? Actually, I'm not. I can't do that. Let me cover it up. Hold on a second. I have to modify this paperwork, and then we'll read it. I'm covering it up. I'm blocking it out. All right. So this is in it. Trethaway's Antique Clock Shop, P.O. Box 362, Waxhaw, North Carolina. Paid $80 for the clock from Russ in 1978. Now, we figured out the math on that before whenever we were messing with that other clock. This little carriage clock here. And wasn't it like 8 times or something like that? I can't remember what the inflation was. It was like the clock was listed for $200, and we figured out it was like $1,200. It was like 6 times or something. So this would be like $500 for this clock in modern money in 1978. Now, 1978 is well past when you needed a pendulum clock. I mean, quartz clocks have been out a long time. Electric clocks have been out since the 1930s. You did not need a pendulum key-wound clock in 1978, but yet they bought it anyway. So Vicky was the person's name. They have an address here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, they had brought this back to the antique clock shop April 12th, 1981. Now, our little thing here says March 1981. Oh, and on the receipt it says number 772, New Haven Oak Shelf Clock. And this says FHT 772. So this says March 81. Maybe that's when they got it in or something. And they wrote the receipt April 12th. I don't know. Number 772, New Haven Oak Shelf Clock. Repair, clean, adjust, and lubricate. Install new bezel and glass. Bezel and glass. Didn't say face, though. Install new bezel and glass. Supply a new key. Labor, parts. Paid by check April 24th. And they charged them $48 labor to repair, clean, adjust, and lubricate. $16 parts for a key and a new bezel and glass. $64.64. So if that was 6 times as much, $360. Am I that far off? I think it's 6 times. Maybe that's too much. I don't know. So 1981, that's 42 years ago. I mean, yeah, I guess it's like 6 times as much. Let me do some, let me look at a inflation calculator real quick so to make sure I got these numbers right. All right, I'm wrong. It's 335. So, and that was at 81. So 78 wouldn't be much more, right? So $80 in 1978 would be 240, 264, something like that. 270 bucks, something like that. So it's $270. I could see somebody paying that for it now. Not this one. I paid 28 bucks, but I could see somebody in the right circumstances, maybe at an antique clock shop, paid 270 bucks for it. And so then to have it cleaned, they paid $65, which would be $130, $195. What was it? What did I say? 3.38%. They kind of did pay a lot to have it clean. I don't know, for it's a lot of work though. So a couple $100 to have it cleaned, have a new bezel glass put on it, and a key put on it. And again, I could see somebody paying that to have one fixed. I don't know that you could find somebody to clean an old clock like this now for a couple $100. That might be hard to pull off. Okay, so let's look at the, well, we got a card here too. Let me show you this. So they paid by check April 24th, right? So this clock is in there. I mean, this card is in there. It says repaired and cleaned, and then they draw the little thing, and it says slow and fast. They're telling them how to adjust it. Because, you know, basically they're telling them, okay, now when you get home, if it's running too fast, slow it down a little bit. If it's running too slow, speed it up a little bit. Because, you know, that's not really something they're going to know at the clock shop unless they really pay attention to it for a week or so. Tretheway's Antique Clock Shop in Waxhaw, North Carolina. That'd be interesting to see where that was. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to find this. If I can. I don't know, though, because it's just got a P.O. box. So I'm going to attempt to find this, and then we're going to try to find the address that the lady lived at and just see what kind of house this was in. And I'm going to see if I can find a picture of a HORACE rack and snell clock by the New Haven Clock Company and see when it was made and what that dial looked like originally. All right, I'm having trouble finding the HORACE, but I did find this one, which is the New Haven number 506, they call it. And if you notice, it's missing the number 4 and the number 8 as well. So maybe that is something that they did at some point. Or maybe this one's just worn away and somebody repainted this one too. I don't know. But I'm on the hunt. All right, so this one took a little bit of trouble to find. So the clock shop was Tretheway's Antique Clock Shop in Waxhaw, North Carolina. So if you search Antique Clock Shop in Waxhaw, North Carolina, you come up with this place on North Broome Street. Their phone number, 4120. That is the same phone number on this receipt. And then if you go down here, it says Antique Clock Shop with the same phone number and P.O. Box 362. So apparently this is the same place. Now, I don't know for sure that it's the same address, but I'll show you the picture of it. So it looks like that's what the place looks like. And I don't know for sure that that's the same location, but there's a whole bunch of pictures here. Bunch of cuckoo clocks. Really nice looking interior. Oh, it looks like you can do like a walk through it. So this may actually be the place that they took it to get it fixed 42 years ago. Pretty interesting. So this is the gentleman and his daughter, I believe it says, who both are making it happen. So I don't know. They don't look old enough to have been there 42 years ago. She definitely isn't, and I don't think he is either. So maybe it was their father, or maybe they bought out the place, and that's why they changed the name from Trethaway's, because maybe neither one of them is a Trethaway. I don't know. I'll have to go over there and ask him one day. I'll bring him this receipt and the clock, and I'll ask him if it's still under warranty. So this is the house that the clock lived in. Let's go inside, shall we? This looks updated. This does not look like 1981. So this is the main entrance here. There's the front door. So there was probably something over here. It was probably on a shelf right about right here. Well, these videos are getting weirder and weirder. Where's the door? I'll bet it was in this room, right? The clock would have been in the living room. We found where it goes. I wonder if these people passed away or something. It says this house was sold in 2021. So maybe that clock worked its way loose about that time, and that's how it ended up in an auction. Okay, so I can't find anything about the Horace Rack and Snell New Haven Clock Company clock. I can't find a picture of one. I can't find a picture of anything even similar to it. So apparently I have the rarest possible New Haven clock. It's probably worth a fortune. Probably not. It's probably not worth anything more than about $28. But let's see if we can get it to do anything. So why are there no pictures of the Horace clock? Look, it's clearly marked. Clearly. That's what it's called. And so if you search online and if you put in the name on the label, stuff pops up. Well, whenever you search New Haven Clock Company and Horace, there was a famous clock maker named Horace something back in the day. So what happens is you get all of these websites talking about New Haven clocks and talking about this famous clock designer. No, but there's none that are talking about this model of clock. So, and I found a price site where it lists 300 different New Haven clocks, pendulum clocks, and it did not list it. So this one probably is just not all that common. Now, again, that doesn't really mean it's worth a bunch of money, because you know, none of them are really worth a lot. It basically comes down to, do you want a specific clock? If you do, you'll pay for it, you know, but whatever. Okay, so let's see. I think it's going to run. Well, that's awful close, but it's not hitting. Nice and clean movement. It's probably about time to oil it again, wouldn't you think, after 42 years? Let's see how clean that palette looks there. Very clean. It's a little out of beat though. It shouldn't be, it should be even. Like that. So I did that by lifting that side of it. So the way you can fix that is if you bend the pendulum hanger that way, the side towards the side that you lifted up, it will make it in beat. So I'm going to very carefully bend it and see if that'll, well, I'm not actually, because I don't know if this table's level. We're just going to leave it how it is for now. So let me turn it back around and we'll see if we can get the thing to strike. Here is what the strike looks like. And that hammer is over on what they're calling the rack and snail. It's moving. You can barely perceive it. All right, are you ready? Now remember, they said don't do it too fast. The hand's a little loose. Probably worn a little bit where it mounts, but that's all right. Now, it'll be interesting to see if it hits 11, which would mean that nobody's messed with it, really, since the last time it was consistently running. What in the world? Well, that thing's fast, isn't it? Is it supposed to sound like that? Let's see what it sounds like at the half. Wow, I don't have one like this. Glad I bought it. That's the quickest strike I've ever heard. All right, so we're going to try to go midnight. It's 24 o'clock. Might need a little work. Maybe. I don't know. You know, it hasn't been oiled in a long time. Who knows? Okay, so I wanted to show you something else. Now, remember I said there was like 300 models? So this is another New Haven clock that I've got. And it's just a little wind up on the back. This one, it looks really old. It has this kind of gothic look. But that one's probably actually older. This one's probably from the late 20s or the 30s. This one's probably from the teens or the 20s, right? But they just made a lot of cool clocks. They made a ton of them. I think I got this one for like 20 bucks. But you see, the problem with it is a lot of the ink is worn off, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're never going to use any of these to actually tell time. They're just kind of cool to have sitting around so you can look at them. I wonder if I turn that down, if I can turn down that strike. That's crazy. I don't know. What do you think? Was it worth $28? Boy, they sound good, don't they? You want to hear this one? All right, folks, so there you go. I just wanted to show off this one that I just got. I wanted to test it out a little bit. I like it. It sounds like, I don't think it's supposed to chime that fast, and it sure isn't supposed to do it twice. Let's see if we go to 1. Does it chime just once, or is it going to do it? Yeah, that was right. Okay, now let's go to 2. I don't know. It just didn't like the 12. So we got 4 there, and something ain't right. I haven't messed with the ones that's the rack and snail, so I'll have to figure that out. But very cool. All right, so there you go. See if you can figure out anything about a New Haven clock company, HORACE clock, for me. This thing is about, I would say, 11 inches tall, and it's about maybe 9 inches wide. So I'd just like to know what the face looked like. I'd like to see somebody else's and just see if that's all been repainted. I think it has, mainly because of the 5 being crooked. So if you know anything, let me know. Leave your comments below. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. We didn't have to do that, folks. I just wanted to test it out a little bit. But we will see you back here in a couple days where we will be working on a pinball machine Dennis was asking me why we haven't done any videos lately on the weekend. I've just been busy. I've been fixing a lot of pinball machines. I've been staying late every night fixing pinball machines, fixing pinball machines, fixing pinball machines, fixing pinball machines. So I've got a whole bunch of videos ready on those. So we've got a lot of those coming up. We've been doing a few arcade games too, but the arcade games take like 1 or 2 days to fix. The pinball machines take like a week to fix. So you just end up with a lot more videos of the pinball stuff. So if we had our druthers, we'd have just as many arcade game videos as we do pinball machine videos, but it's harder to film several videos of the same machine unless you break it down into just little picayune things. Whenever I do the pinball machines, I try to do like 20 or 30 things in the video, you know, and run through a whole bunch of stuff. But there's like 100 or 150 things that need done, you know, so you end up with several videos. On an arcade machine, if you do about 10 things, that sucker's ready to go. So it's just, it's harder to stretch those out, and we don't want to artificially stretch them out, you know, so. Well, the thing is ticking along pretty good. I guess I'll set the time and then watch it for a day or two and see if that's right. And then I guess I should oil it first, and then I'll see if I can figure out how to adjust that snail and what the problem is, why that would just run wild like that. But I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you on the next one. Don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. If you don't know about him, my brother has his own channel here on YouTube. We work on arcade games, pinball machines, and jukeboxes, and on Sundays, sometimes a clock or a radio. But my brother Donnie works on old buildings, old vehicles, and things like that. I'm over there with him on his channel sometimes, so I will see you over there. But we'll see you back here on Tuesday with another pinball machine video. Hope you enjoyed it.